I've lived in this city all my life. But somehow today I felt everything had changed.
I know this is going to sound insane. Jeffrey is not Jeffrey.
I'd keep seeing these people. Things were being passed between them.
None of them were people you knew?
People were different. Not just Jeffrey, but everybody. It was like the whole city had changed overnight.
People are being duplicated. And once it's happened to you, you're part of this thing.
Will you please listen to what you're saying?
I can understand why you become so emotional about a little flower.
What are you talking about? A space flower?
Is it contagious?
I don't know what it is or where it comes from, but it was there and I saw it and I'm going to fight it.
It's happening now.
They grow out of those pods.
Don't show any emotions. Hide your feelings.
We came here from a dying world. We drift through the universe. We adapt. We survive.
But what happens to us?
You'll be born again into an untroubled world.
And welcome everyone to the Movie Hero Network. This is the Wheel of Movies, episode number 20, and we did a little pivot this week. We were originally going to do Godfather Part 3 as spun. We are still going to do that episode. It's just going to be about 2 weeks from now. But we pivoted in honor of the late, great Donald Sutherland, who we are honoring tonight, and still not cheating because it's a movie that is on the Wheel of Movies, the big wheel, because it is my favorite horror movie of all time, and it's certainly in my 128. But we thought it'd be appropriate enough to talk a little Invasion of the Body Snatchers from 1978, directed by Philip Kaufman, remake of the 1956 film. But I'm not alone in this venture. We got my usual co-host, Richie Goodacre. Richie, how's it going?
Yeah, what's up? No, yeah, excited to talk about it. I had watched it before, but it had been a long time. So yeah, it was like watching it before. I think I'd watched it about maybe 10, 12 years ago.
Good rewatch. As Richie has a little technical difficulties, but we'll go to our guest tonight. We got JPO in the house, so it's a little.
That was fun. Good.
Yeah, you're a little laggy, Richie, but it's all right. JPO, a little kind of mini Lonely Marks thing going on here tonight. JPO really wanted to jump on here and get a good watch of this, but how's it going, JPO? Welcome to Wheel of Movies.
Hey, technical difficulties, that's my shtick.
That's your thing.
Please, come on, guys. Excited to be here. When I saw you guys were doing this, I said, hey, if you need a third, let me know, because it's always been on, obviously, the watch list. It's the first time for me. I mentioned to you before, I know you saying its praises. You're definitely not alone in its praises either. After I watched that, checked my letterbox, I was like, oh shit, I guess I was really sleeping on this. A lot of people really like this movie here. I gotta catch one in my 70s, I think, in general. But this was finally between the passing of good old Donald Sutherland, who I really feel in the last year or so, I've really come to be like, oh, this dude was pretty fucking good. I kind of, as a guy growing up in the 90s and 2000s, I feel like I kind of saw that later half. And I really am just now kind of catch up on some of his other work. Where I'm like, oh, hot damn, you were something. So this is a good watch.
No, he's got a really sneaky good filmography. Not a whole lot of stinkers in there, really. A lot of really, really good movies. Yeah, he's kind of like Roy Scheider for me in the 70s. Just you can't really go wrong with 70s Donald Sutherland either. Dude cranking out one solid movie after another. We'll get into it here in just a second. Again, just a few quick facts about the film before we kind of dive in. Released on December 22nd, 1978. Nice Christmas movie for everybody to go see, which little counter programming there. But it made at the time $24.9 million. But if you adjust for inflation, $115 million. So actually pretty good for a horror film. Any time nowadays a horror film breaches $100 million. That's actually pretty good. So it actually was a decent horror hit at the time. A couple of quick little tidbits about the movie. yeah, of course, you got Donald Sutherland in the lead role here, who was, he had led a few movies. He had actually led a horror movie called Don't Look Now back in 1971, which is other
really liked that
pretty,
thing, yeah.
pretty, critically acclaimed there. It's in the Criterion Collection and all that. So he was no stranger to horror. But yeah, you got another nice cast here, Brooke Adams, who was kind of a supporting player at the time. I got Veronica Cartwright, who next year would go on to be an Alien, another horror classic. She's the one who gets all the blood spit on her when the chest burster scene happens. Has always a good scream and all that. And of course, a very young Jeff Goldblum here, very very babyface Goldblum, even years before he would go on to be in another horror remake of The Fly, obviously. So yeah, nice little cast here. Leonard Nimoy, of course, fresh off of Star Trek, and got casted in this movie mainly because he was trying to break a stereotype, or being typecast at the time as Spock. So he wanted to kind of do some more kind of straight roles, and he's really good. We'll talk about him, obviously. And a few of the other things we'll kind of get into as it goes. Michael Chapman, cinematographer, does a great job here. Danny Zetlin, some good score work here. And Ben Burtt, the legendary Star Wars sound designer, does the sound design for this movie. So all the unique sounds they do for like the pods, when they're pulsing and things like that, all those weird noises, he's at the head of it there. But we usually kind of start out. I ask the question sort of everybody's history with the movie. So we'll go around here, and I'll go last. I'll let our guests go first. Richie, you kind of touched on it a little bit, but kind of your history of this movie and how'd the rewatch go?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of gave it away, unfortunately. I mean, in the intro, but I watched this about, I don't know, like 10, 12 years ago. Just maybe around the time when the invasion, fucking stupid Nicole Kidman.
That's a bad one.
Movie came out, so I was like, and I was like, there's a better remake of that, and so I watched this, and I'm like, yeah, it is, but it was good to do another rewatch. Considering, I know you highly praised it on a lot of the tournament fights, so yeah, good to do another rewatch of sort of I don't know, older eyes, I guess, more and then more appreciation for horror movies these days. So it was great. So that's sort of my experience with the film.
Yeah, no, and I kind of spoiled a little bit for JPO, but yeah, this was a first time watch for you. You said it'd been on your list. No, that's okay, totally. But yeah, no, just maybe why you kind of avoided it for so long, or maybe just didn't dive into it, just looking for that reason, and maybe just a few at least initial thoughts on the movie. Obviously, we'll get more into it as we go. But I know you're. It's not so much a history with you, this because it's your first time watch. So, but I want to have that unique perspective on here though, and see kind of how it works for somebody just coming to it in 2024.
Yeah, no, I think there's no special reason here. I think if you look at my letterbox too, I'm definitely a huge movie guy. Once I'm born, the 70s and 80s,
yeah, right.
80s a little bit better, 70s, and so like that. There's probably a lot of like really good 70s things I haven't seen. You mentioned like Don't Look Up and everything. So no, just one of those that obviously I've heard of the title here. I could probably I probably knew at least of the title pretty much growing up. I did see the Daniel Craig one, so maybe that also didn't help. I don't know.
Yeah, right.
That one's pretty meh, if not forgettable. It's just one of those. And then I think more being around other just movie lovers and trivia leaguers and stuff like that. And I know you saying its praises. I knew, so it kind of bumped up the list of like, okay, this is something to maybe go out of your way to see here, because there's so many movies, TV for us three. Rest on top of that. There's just so much. So I'm finally able to see it, and we'll get more into it. But no, I really truly dug it. I like the pacing of it a lot. I don't want to say it's a slow burn because I think it's very meticulously paced. I think it's paced in a very good way here. Everyone's really good in it too. Not too familiar with anyone outside of Sutherland and Goldblum. Like I'd never seen Brooke Adams before, so kind of cool seeing her in the leading role. So yeah.
We'll definitely get into kind of everybody's characters as they develop through the movie. As for me, I saw this one fairly early on, just in my horror watchings, and I watched the 56 one first, and then watched this one, and was like, oh yeah, I can see what everybody says. This is one of the great remakes of all time. Right up there with The Thing and The Fly and all that. Everybody kind of lumps those in. You guys know me. I'm big on 70s cinema. I've been on a real big 70s kick. The last like 5-10 years. I just like 70s cinema because it just feels like anything goes. Like there's just like no rules. assholes. They don't care about your feelings, or necessarily maybe we'll talk about it even having a happy ending or anything like that. Just like, we're just going to do the movie and here's the characters, and you're either with us or you're not, and you're along for the ride. And that's what I kind of love about 70s cinema. It just feels, it was that time where there was a lot of fresh things going on and a lot of new ideas, and it just feels real cutting edge. So yeah, no, this has always been near the top, but it was always kind of a top 5 horror movie for me. And just the last couple of years, I had to realize it's number 1. Like, it eclipsed even The Thing, but The Thing's right behind it at number 2. But they're both paranoia horror, which I love. Just not being able to trust anybody or not know what's going on, and that element to me is just a really scary concept. But yeah, no, let's kind of get into the movie.
I just want to say, I just discovered when I was watching it, was there another remake of this between the invasion and this? Could just Body Snatchers?
There's an Abel Ferrara movie from 1993 just called Body Snatchers, and again, it's one of those movies where, like, you can either take it as another just adaptation of the story, or you can take it. People have also kind of made connections that it's all kind of in the same universe, but it's just a parallel story going on, because that one takes place on a military base. R. Lee Ermey's actually like the military, like general guy running around, and Forrest Whitaker's in it, like Meg Tilly. Like, it's got a decent little cast to it as well, of like character actors and whatnot. But it's an underrated movie. I'm not gonna say it's as good as this one, but it's still a really gnarly movie and has some good stuff going on to it. So I do recommend the 93 Body Snatchers. I think it's underrated. So if you ever get an itch to watch something like that, and then obviously I love The Faculty, and The Faculty is another Body Snatchers sort of adaptation but in that one they reference Body Snatchers in the movie. Like, it's got that Kevin Williamson wrote it, so it's very meta in that way, to where like the characters are aware of Body Snatchers and what might be going on. So no, and I like that one as well. So yeah, no, so there's been a couple of adaptations here and there. I've tried to get John Marr to let me do Body Snatchers as a franchise on there, but he's not quite there yet, to where it'd be like the 4 official like Body Snatchers adaptations and The Faculty. I'm like, that's 5. You always say it's like 5, right? That's 5. Come on. And he doesn't quite go for it, but I'm trying to get him onto that.
I should have gotten because I've always loved The Faculty that I grew up on.
Yeah, no, Faculty's great. And yeah, that's like, if you want to watch the meta, like new wave, post-Scream version of Body Snatchers, like with the young hip cast, like that's the fun one to go to. But they make for a nice little double feature. But yeah, let's get into it, because we get kind of this open where we actually see the stuff in space this time, and we get to kind of see the little parasites or whatever they are, kind of floating through space off of one planet, and eventually getting here and landing with the rain. They kind of get into the plants, so it's kind of a plant-like thing, and they expand. We see them growing these little flowers and whatnot. And right off the bat, we get the thing we saw in the trailer. We get the Robert Duvall creepy cameo that's completely uncredited. And just a little fact about that, Don Siegel, who's the producer of this, had worked, and Phil Kaufman had also, the director of this, had worked with Sutherland Duvall on earlier projects. He was just in town that week. He was in San Francisco where they filmed this, and he was just in town.
There's a story behind this.
Yes.
We're never go back. Yeah.
No, he was just in town. He visited the set, and they were like, "Hey, you want to like do a little cameo?" And he didn't get paid for it or anything. He got a jacket out of it, essentially. That Philip Kaufman bought him. But they were like, "Do you just want to do a little quick cameo and be like a creepy priest swinging on a swing?" And like that's what he did. So when you open up the movie, you're like, "Is that Robert Duvall?" Because this is like post Godfather. It's not like he's an unknown, entity. He's an Oscar-nominated actor, so at the time, so he's a well-known quantity. And same year as, Apocalypse.
I even had to look up his filmography and go, was this before he popped? And I'm like, no, wait a minute, what?
No, this is post Godfather. So I mean, he's like, a known guy, yeah. And no, just a quick cameo, and you think you're gonna see him again, and nope, that's it, he's gone.
It's like those cameos in like Edgar Wright films. It's like, wait, was that Kate Blanchett?
yeah, exactly. No, it's just like,
you're a liar. You didn't realize that was Kate Blanchett.
I did. She's a national treasure. I did.
I would say the better one is the Santa Claus, Peter Jackson as Santa Claus is the better one. But
Richie's he knew that was Peter Jackson.
Yeah, sure. But yeah, we get the quick Duvall cameo, and then we kind of jump into it. We see a little bit of Brooke Adams. She's into flowers and botany and whatnot at the labs. And yeah, kind of the thing that's the little subplot that kind of kicks off everything is this relationship he has with Jeffrey, her husband, who's kind of addicted to basketball, and they have a loving relationship, but he loves basketball. He really loves the basketball, and they kind of have their thing, but it's not like they have a contentious relationship relationship or anything, but she knows each other. And yeah, he goes to sleep one night, wakes up, and starts acting a little funny. And that's when she first kind of gets the inkling that he's just not himself anymore. But I think the guy who plays Jeffrey, and I forgot to look up his name, he's got a good little creepy stare to him. He's a good little character actor here. But yeah, it's what kind of kicks it off. But yeah, are either one of you guys, I guess, familiar with Brooke Adams at all? I'm not familiar with her as much, even outside of this movie, but I think she's pretty great in this movie.
The only Brooke Adams I'm familiar with is the Brooke Adams from wrestling, who's Miss Testmark currently in it.
I see.
But yeah,
that's the only Brooke Adams I know of.
Yeah. So yeah, no, but I thought she was good.
I loved her eye thing. The eye thing, I was like, ooh, that's creepy.
Yeah. Oh, she did the little the goofy little.
Yeah.
Well, and that's in there to show that a pod person wouldn't do something like that. They would just have dead, straightforward eyes, not thinking. So that's a little planned earlier. But yeah.
I like the guy. I think he did it. Yeah, he's just got a creepy. He's probably gets typecast. He's just got a creepy face. It's like I feel like again, I'll probably do a few wrestling references because obviously they're only mugs. But like I feel like the guy like literally Kaiser can never be a baby face. He's just got an evil, creepy look. He's just one of those people that's got a creepy look. So he's good. He fits well within that movie. It's just like it's like it's good. It's good. It works as like the first sort of creepy dude. So I don't know. It worked for me.
His name is Art Hindle, by the way, and he's actually no stranger to horror, especially in the 70s. He's also in Black Christmas, the 70s version. He's in The Brood, the David Cronenberg movie. So I mean, he's got a little horror pedigree in and of himself, and he's also in Porky's. So there you go.
I like how Donald Sutherland, when oh shit, I'll go there. Donald Sutherland speculated that he might be acting weird because he might have turned gay. Well, that's very 70s thing, I'm like, I don't know if you turn gay. He's
already was. And Leonard Nimoy ends up having his speculation as well. But JPO, any thoughts on kind of this Jeffrey, Elizabeth sort of subplot here and kind of how that develops and whatnot?
Yeah, like you say too, I kind of like the fact that at first I thought she was gonna hate him. Because he's literally kind of ignoring her, just watching the game with the good old headphones on. But no, you can tell she kind of jumps in his arms and whatnot. So that's good because that it helps you show you that when she is going no, that's seriously not him. This isn't just speculation. No, she can tell it this is a different kind of human being, and it helps you believe the audience real quickly. Something's up here. And other than that, he just kind of has to kind of stare and do good for the rest of it. So he does that fine.
No, he's got a good kind of evil stare thing. And the thing where he's not himself.
Shot where he's listening, you can just see him listen.
Oh yeah, just listening behind the door. No, I mean he's a pod person when she's like, no, you literally had tickets to a playoff game tonight, basketball, and you're not going. That is not like you at all. You would not give that up for the world. And he's like, oh, I just have a meeting or whatever.
I got a meeting at night. At nighttime.
At nighttime with random people. Yeah, 9:00 at night. No, you'd be going to that playoff game. That's ridiculous. But yeah, we meet Donald Sutherland playing Matthew here, and he works for the health department. He's a health inspector. I absolutely adore the scene where he goes to inspect the French restaurant, and then we get introduced. Yeah, with the back and forth. It's a caper. It's a rat turd. It's a caper. It's a rat. All right, well then eat it. So pop it in your mouth. Yeah, he's looking for rats, and yeah, he's very meticulous. They have kind of a mini feud, it seems like, because he keeps going back and forth about how he almost got him last time, and now he's going to get him this time and nail him with the health inspection. But yeah, it's fun because he's kind of a dick, but you kind of like him at the same time because he's just going after him. He's got a sense of humor about it. But Richie, any thoughts on this kind of opening stuff with Sutherland introducing him as the health guy?
It's good. It's kind of fun. It was kind of fun. Yeah, it sort of sets him up as this, I guess, because no one maybe because it's the cliche health inspector. Because even though health inspector, there's a need for health inspectors. No one likes when the health inspector comes around because they're very meticulous, very kind of very very anal retentive, I guess, in that regard. And so yeah, it was being a bit of a dig. But so yeah, you'd think. But I think it just shows that it shows it's not like a human being, not a perfect character. But I thought he has enough charisma to pull it off. I thought it was a fun scene. And I mean, this movie does have you wouldn't get wouldn't go as far to call it a comedy, but there's some fun scenes and with some weird imagery that could come here where I'm like, I did laugh out loud a few times.
Oh no, there's definitely some dark humor and stuff here and there. Yeah, JPO, our kind of introduction to Donald Sutherland here and his 70s hair as well. It's very 70s permed up curly hair and mustache.
No, I liked it though. Actually, I thought he had a cool look in this film here. Like, I think I didn't necessarily think of it as '70s. I thought it just looked kind of cool. The borderline of smart, but still very adaptable. And yeah, I don't know what else to add. Just other than good introduction and kind of getting a little feel of the character here. Kind of walks that fine line of, like I said, of like not too nerdy, which I think is good.
Yeah. He's kind of nerdy, but he's cool. He's got a suave kind of confidence about him. But we have a little bit here that pays off later, and it's one of my favorite little kind of not like a subplot, but little sub bits of the movie where he goes into the cleaners with the Asian couple and drops off his clothes and whatnot, and he has that interaction real quick with the guy who with his wife and just kind of pulls him aside and it's just like, no, it's not my wife. Like she's not right. Like she's not her. It's a bit thing where like, again, a scary concept of a guy who, is probably been married to this lady for 30 years or something like that, it seems like, and would know like almost immediately if that person was just completely different and not themselves. But it's a creepy little scene that pays off later, about a half hour later when he goes back in and checks in back with him, and he does the whole like, oh no, she's much better now. Everything's better now. Oh no, really, really creepy stuff. No, I love that scene.
Yeah, it's like I spilled coffee on it. No, this is not coffee. Yes, it is.
It's coffee. I spilled it on myself. No, good stuff. JP, I was
just say one thing that I could compare it to a little bit here too that gave me vibes of the good way of Stepford Wives, of the whole fun concept of like this is not that person anymore, and then later on the fun little turnarounds when the other people are now sucked in and like, no, everything's fine, join us, if you will.
Well, it's very similar because they replaced them in that movie with robots, and they replaced them just with pod people clone things, in this movie. So I mean, it's very, very similar.
And there's similar things of like, no, really, believe me, that's not him.
Yeah. Well, the original movie original Stepford Wives movie, another 70s movie, 74 as well. So I mean, this whole paranoia thing was like big on the 70s.
Paranoia, body swipe of
body swap thing.
In a different way, but similar-ish to, being like better, you know what I mean? These like the aliens towards the end are like, better with no love, but also no hate, kind of thing,
Yeah. No, and another thing I like about this movie is, we established that, that Elizabeth is married to Jeffrey, at the beginning, but her and Sutherland have this like kind of, friendship that you can tell. Maybe Matthew like wants it to be something more, but he knows, she's taken or whatever, so and he respects that. But they definitely have like a care for each other and have that very friendly bond. So much so that when she's kind of freaking out about Jeffrey, they go and see. We get to meet Leonard Nimoy playing this kind of pseudo famous therapist, whatnot, who's like the therapist for the mayor, and he's written some books and things like that. They're having a little book signing sort of thing, and we get to kind of meet him, and he's already with somebody else, with another wife having a freak out about her husband, same type of thing. He's not well, he's not himself, that's not him, all that kind of stuff, and he's sort of making all these rational explanations. But I mean, JPO, super familiar with Nimoy outside of Star Trek, or even a Star Trek fan at all, or seen him in much?
I actually was just now thinking about it. This might be the only performance I've seen of his where he's not Spock. I don't know if I've seen him in anything else. What else is he in? Is he in anything else?
I mean, he's done little appearances here and there, but it's not a lot. He did do some directing because he directed like 3 Men and a Baby.
I know he directed that. Funny.
He was in that famous Simpsons episode where he was.
I mean, it was cool seeing him outside of the place. I mean, not exactly stretching crazy amounts here because again, he is kind of like the smart, rational person in the room. So I remember kind of thinking like, you're definitely drawing a little bit from Spock. I feel because again, you're using rationale and you're calming people down. I definitely didn't trust him from the get go too. I was like, nah, fucking Spock's in on it. Get away from him. Get the fuck away from him.
It is kind of still debated, almost like the thing as to when he's a pod
When he
person.
does.
Yeah, as to like, is he already one at this party?
Right.
But like, I kind of tend to say no, because he does have the thing where he tests the, like, he throws him up against the wall, and it's just like, what'd you feel then? What'd you feel then? Did you feel like I don't
Would a
think
pod
he is
person do
yet.
that?
But he might be in like the scene after that, like when we check in with him
Okay.
again, when he shows up to the spa
Yeah.
thing, to Goldblum's spa.
That's
I
a
think
good
he is
point.
at that point.
Because I was leaning towards yes, he was from the get-go. That's a good point. Would a pod person have that kind of instinct to show them? You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I don't think he is that. I don't know, Richie. Any thoughts on when he might be? I tend to think it's at the spa scene. That's like the next time he shows up at Goldblum's place.
I think it's afterwards. I think he's gonna got too much of his sort of faculties together at the start. But I think it's just a little bit afterwards. But it's hard. It's like when I think Leonard Nimoy's just got such a distinct look. Like when I just see Leonard Nimoy, I just think Spock. So it's hard to I understand why taking this role to not get typecast, but I'm like you're still sort of in that sci-fi realm. So I still see you as like
well. And to answer your question, JPO, if you look over his filmography, I mean, he did some stuff like before Star Trek, but pretty much after Star Trek, it's like some mostly voiceover stuff and like Transformers the movie and like the Page Master, and a few like animated things. But yeah, really, the only live action stuff is like this and Star Trek, and that's really about it. It's just voiceover stuff. So, and his directing, obviously, that we talked about.
I was just saying, not to trail off. Are you gonna go over the director at any point?
Oh no, you can go ahead if you like. Yeah, Philip Kaufman.
I was just gonna simply say, like, I mean, he's got a few movies up until even 2012. Yeah. I've seen none of these.
Yeah, right.
You got Goldstein, Fearless Frank, The Great, Northfield, Minnesota Raid. Right before this, he does White Dawn, and then after this, he does The Wanderers. Oh, The Right Stuff. That's a famous.
The Right Stuff is a very famous movie. Yeah, a very famous astronaut movie.
Unbearable Lightness of Being. Henry and June. Looks like they're making out. Rising Sun with Sean Connery and Wesley Snipes.
Yep.
Quills with Kate Winslet.
I know that movie.
I know this movie's badly rated. Twisted with Ashley Judd and Sam Jackson.
Yep.
And then, finally, he made Hemingway and Gellhorn.
Yeah.
And Nicole Kidman movie.
Yeah.
Nicole Kidman. It all comes back to Snatchers.
And Quills has Joaquin Phoenix in it as well, I think.
Yeah, I've only seen it because Kate Winslet. Never mind. But I was gonna say, like, I would say the biggest thing out of that, Right Stuff, and then I don't know, he kind of seems to kind of trail off a little bit.
Yeah, no, it looks like critically acclaimed stuff, but nothing as big as kind of I mean, he's probably going to forever be known for Body Snatchers and The Right Stuff mostly, which is cool. And The Right Stuff's a great movie, so nothing wrong with that. But kind of a limited filmography here, but I think the movie's well directed, like I said, and really well shot. It's got some good tension because we're already kind of building the mystery of like what's actually going on, because they don't reveal the pods and stuff till later. But we're getting to where they think there's some kind of epidemic going on. Yeah, people are not themselves.
Which is my issue with the trailer you showed, because they don't even reveal it till later on. They show that in the fucking trailer.
that to be fair, that trailer was just a 4K trailer. It's like a shorter version. That wasn't the original theatrical trailer.
Okay, cool. Original trailer, but that's annoying because that was like a reveal in the movie, and you've put it in the trailer.
No, that's just a trailer for like the 4K like release and whatnot. So it shows a little bit more. But I mean, that kind of gets us to we start see what's going on. We get a little bit of Goldblum at the party, and that he disagrees with almost everything Kibner says, and all of his philosophies. He's just kind of at odds with him. So we get a little introduction to that. He's kind of a rebel. We get a little bit more of him and Veronica Cartwright as a couple. They're kind of a husband and wife, and they run that really weird kind of spa with like all that mud bath stuff. That stuff looks disgusting. I would never take a little hot mud bath or whatever they're doing to that gross spa.
And then kind of help the fat guy out of it, like,
he's like slip and sliding trying to get out of there.
Anyone think he did that shit on purpose? Hey, gotta get me again.
Hey, help me out of here, and then give me a back rub.
The fact that like mud bars are I mean, like, it'd be one thing if it was like a thing made up for this movie. The fact that mud bars are a thing, I don't know, man. You would never get me in.
No.
How they're supposed to cleanse you? I don't know. I don't get it. What's the health benefits of a mud bath? Cool. I thought the whole purpose of a bath is to get clean, and why you didn't get more dirty? I don't understand. I don't understand.
But yeah, no, and when we get a little bit where we start to see kind of one of the pod clones being developed of Goldblum, and yeah, it's kind of this unformed, sort of just mass. It looks like a dummy, but it's not quite. It doesn't have like any distinct features. They should say it doesn't have fingerprints. But then later on, when Goldblum starts to kind of nod off again, the nose starts bleeding, because he got a nosebleed earlier. Yeah, and it's very, very creepy with like the little dry kind of webbing on its face, and you can tell it's just like not quite there. But yeah, we still don't really know kind of how it works or where they come from. But it's a pretty creepy scene overall when they discover that thing and then it starts twitching and whatnot. But yeah, it's a good little mystery. I don't know. Any thoughts on this whole sequence and then Sutherland showing up to kind of help him out, see for himself?
I mean, I think the makeup in this movie in general is really good. We'll touch on it a bit later on when they're with the pod, the pod reveal. But like, that was really gnarly. But this was this is really creepy as well, and I think it does really well with like with that, and it's a very effective scene.
Yeah, JPO.
Yeah, I was just saying one thing I liked about this movie, and it continues on to the makeup of the pod people here, is that it does feel, I'd say, pretty like real and grounded. You know what I mean? Like it felt like that truly is maybe something that could happen. I don't want to say could happen, obviously, because it's pod people, but like it felt like it felt like real and tangible. Same thing with like the way they kind of treat it, slowly crumbling with the people and you know what I mean? Because that's what would happen. You have people that be doubting it. Scientists, oh come on. You know what I mean? Like, so, and again, I think it continues to the makeup of like, it felt very organic in a way.
Yeah, no, very, very organic, very good practical stuff. Yeah, we'll talk about kind of, the creepiest kind of gnarliest scene is when Sutherland starts to fall asleep and you get to kind of see the full, thing of how the sort of pod person sort of develops and comes out of it. Yeah, it's very, 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 very disturbing and very weird. But yeah, Sutherland shows up. He already kind of thinks something might be going on, but now he's kind of fully, all in and convinced. We get a little bit of how far it's spread when every time he calls, the police, they're like very sketchy and weird, on the phone. I'm just like, oh, we'll send somebody around eventually. And then they get the better scene later of when they're like, no, everything will be fine. Just stay where you are, Mr. Bonelli. He's like, I didn't tell you my name. He's like, how did you know my name? Yeah. And just again shows how far that if this was again in real life, and I feel like it's, again, pretty realistic. What would the pod people go after first? People in government, first responders, people who are in charge of like travel, things like that, maybe people at the airport, like that's who you would go after first. So like it totally makes sense of as far as you get an idea of how far it's actually spreading. You don't know how far completely yet, but it's kind of almost citywide, a little bit. There's some nice little kind of subtle reveals there. You get the people, that great little sequence where Sutherland's running around trying to make phone calls. And like, it's the way it's shot, it's very paranoid with him like running around in the crowds and kind of, freaking out a little bit and taking the phone calls in the booth. And it's like very kind of, edited in a way where it feels very, very frenetic. Like, he's kind of having a little freak out on it, but it's really well shot. And the score of the pulsing, the wom, 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 wom. It's like not so much of a traditional score. It's just like one that kind of gets under your skin. It's really good stuff.
Yeah. I think the whole like sort of mainly like the building intention, the quiet sort of vibe to it, and like the whole sort of the kind of who to trust thing, and the desolate. It reminds me of like A Quiet Place. I feel like A Quiet Place kind of maybe borrowed some elements of it in a way. So yeah, So I kind of especially like in that in that car, and then that guy jumps on
but the guy who jumps on the car, did you know who that is? That is a cameo. The guy who jumps on the car and he starts going, they're coming, they're here. That's Kevin McCarthy, the star of the original Body Snatchers from 1956.
Okay. He's cameo. I was trying to figure out who he was. Okay.
Yes, it's a cameo. Joe Dante. He's actually cameoed in a lot of Joe Dante movies as well. He's buddies with Joe Dante, so you'll see him popping up in a lot of his movies. But yeah, he's the star of the original, and some people have even speculated that this is even in the same universe as the '50s one, to where they stopped it in that one. That one actually has like a happy ending where they kind of stop it. But maybe this one starts up again, and he's the one who like experienced it before, and like nobody remembers anything, so he's freaking out about it because it's happening again, and it's coming. But that is Kevin McCarthy, star of the original one. And then he gets taken out kind of around the corner. Gets hit with a car. So it's a very kind of jumpy scene and whatnot. But that's just a fun fact, just kind of a quick little cameo there from the original star. We kind of really started to get serious. Elizabeth goes back home and she's very tired. She goes to sleep. Jeffrey's kind of watching over her, and we get him again being creepy of like just putting her to bed and being like, "Oh, go to sleep. Everything will be, fine in the morning." Another little thing that you may not pick up on the first watching is you keep seeing the shots of these trash trucks, like these garbage trucks, going around with all this like dust, sort of, dirt, dusty stuff, that they keep putting in the back of the trucks. And then you obviously find out later that's just human remains. That's when the people dry out and they almost like when they're cremated, and all that's left is just like a pile of ashes essentially, and they keep dumping it in there. So that's just a little thing you pick up kind of on another watch. We get Elizabeth goes to sleep. Sutherland's trying to get a hold of her, and he eventually goes over there and basically breaks in the house to try to get her out, but she almost becomes a pod person. But it's very creepy, him trying to duck around and get around Jeffrey. But JPO, any thoughts on that whole kind of sequence, and Jeffrey sort of creepily watching over her? She kind of turns into a pod person there with the little unformed kind of body on the side, and the little green room there, the little garden thing.
Again, just more good continuation of kind of slowly unraveling kind of what's going on and kind of how it looks and whatnot. I think the next step is also pretty well done as well.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we'll definitely get to that because it's coming up here in a minute. But Richie, any thoughts on that whole sequence and Jeffrey being a creeper, as well?
I mean, you touched on like things that you might not think. There was didn't notice, but there was things that that was interesting to have. Like sometimes people would be walking down the hall, and it's just random people just staring. Like there was one dude that was just like, like they're walking down the hallway, and there's some dude like pissed, but he gets the glasses staring. I'm like, okay, I don't know if you were supposed to like. But that was kind of interesting. So, like this, it was definitely freaky, and it was good sort of, building to what would come. But I thought that was, and then would also play into the, chaos and paranoia of the situation. So
because then the cops show up, and they're like, he kind of barely gets out of there, with her and whatnot, and they all kind of decide to huddle up together because they're all they know something's going on. They even bring Nimoy back into it. He kind of, I think at this point he's a pod person essentially, but because I think he's just getting more intel on where they are and kind of what they're planning essentially. He tries to convince Nimoy to call the mayor. We gotta put out a warning. Maybe get the National Guard involved. But they decide to kind of huddle up for the night. This is where we kind of get really, and this really it's nicely paced again at about the halfway point. We get started to see how the whole process works because Sutherland goes outside. He's just gonna kind of sit and look over things, but he starts to doze off. And you get the creepy stuff where the little tentacle things start to like go up his arm, and you get that pulsing score and whatnot. And then we see the full like pod, and as the process starts, it spits out like this like bald, creature, looks like a little person, just kind of crawls out of the thing. It's all slimy and gross, and then starts to kind of roughly, it's like twitching as it's kind of developing, and you see like Sutherland's hair kind of pop out of it and the mustache. But it's really, really disturbing, like the whole process, cutting back and forth again with that pulsing. But JPO, you kind of alluded to it. But this is really good makeup and creepy stuff here. With the actual pod process here. Yeah.
No, I mean, again, I just again, I like how it's handled. I like it gets even creepier. You've got hints of it so far, and now you're really kind of seeing, and you're taking it back for a second here. But again, you're never taking it back in a bad way. It's always a good way of just like kind of seeing what's going on and realizing too that like, oh shit, and you also kind of like Freddy, can't fall asleep. Bad movie to fall, which means I'd be dead very quickly.
Oh, right. I know. How long can he stay awake? And they touch on that a little bit in the Invasion, the Nicole Kidman one. Like, oh, okay, well, how do they deal with it? Oh, I'll just go in a gas station and drink Mountain Dew. Like, okay.
Put the Mountain Dew label right in the camera.
Yeah, right in front of the camera. Nice little product placement. No, in this one, it's like, oh, no, I found some amphetamines. Let's take 5 of them and try to stay awake. Like, much smarter decision, actually. Richie, thoughts on this whole, like, full pod reveal and kind of the process and everything as they kind of amp it up here.
I mean, I'd hate it if it happened to you, JP, because we'd see your death on camera. We'd see your death on stream.
As your eyes roll in the back of your head.
No, this is so like visceral and creepy and gross. This is it's going to stick with you. This is like, yeah, it's like this scene and like right at the end. This is like one of those things where you more memorable. It's just like there's just like there's things you can do with like just practically just makeup and like not having to resort to things like CGI and when you just I mean like you couldn't back in the day, but like but it's just the magic of like like that those just simple makeup is great. I think it did its job. It's very, very creepy, very unsettling. I like just seeing like this alien thing just kind of morph into you. It's to be jarring, but it's definitely an image going to stick for me for a while. Whenever people bring out this movie, that's the image I'll think of.
To me, it's not even so much like the Sutherland thing, like as he's developing, it's like the shot of the pod with like the bald, like initial like one just coming out of it is like really gross, and slimy and weird. But again, really great practical stuff. So hats off to the team there who put it together. I mean, things kind of escalate because then they get he tries to call the police, but they kind of send everybody after him. We get kind of a little chase sequence here where they all go and they kind of break off into a group here. Goldblum sort of kind of sacrifices himself to lead the mob away, and we see him again a little later. Obviously, we know that's probably trouble. he's probably not going to get out of that one. Himself again. Cartwright gets kind of separated as well. She kind of goes off and does her own thing. We check in with her here and there, but Matthew and Elizabeth try to get away. We have the creepy cab sequence where they get in the cab with a guy, saying they're going to the airport. He's asking weird questions. He's like, "Oh, so where are you going? What airline?" Blah, blah, blah. And they're just like trying to play it off. "Oh no, we're just going to meet somebody to pick them up," and then you get to that checkpoint, and you just like got two of them in the back, and really, really creepy. Again, paranoid stuff. Again, showing how far it's gotten. It's gotten even just the cab drivers can't even get to the airport to get away. Good stuff there. No, I'm sorry, you're gonna say something. Go ahead, Richie.
No. I would just hate to be in this. I guess I just hate to be in this thing. Just like if. Whenever you need like any sort of help, they're all like, I don't know what if at the end of the day, like it was only like I don't even know how you would be able to log who's not affected, but it would be a very helpless situation. But I thought the question was funny. I know we're just things like we're just meeting a friend who's coming in from Boston, I think they said, and then and then.
At this point, they're literally like setting up checkpoints, like looking for people who are not pod people yet, like looking for humans. We get all that stuff in kind of the big like main square near the health department where they're actually literally passing out the pods and being like, "All right, anybody who lives in near Portland, take it to Portland. Who lives in San Diego, take it to San Diego." Where they're actually literally like passing them all out. We get the little bit where they actually get to the health department. Again, they take kind of the amphetamines and whatnot, and but they get cornered and confronted by Nimoy and Goldblum, who we now find out, he got caught, and now he's a pod person. That's no good, not too good. And they try to get him to go to sleep by injecting him with some sedatives. But again, I think the 5 amphetamines overpowered the sedatives, so luckily they just took that. It's like lucky break that they just downed a whole bunch of actual speed and whatnot. We get kind of a little bit of an explanation that Nimoy says as the pod person that he kind of explains they're this kind of race of parasite, alien beings that they go from planet to planet, kind of take over the planet, basically move on. It's very similar to Independence Day, actually, when they're like a locust, moving from planet to planet and kind of consume everything and move on. But JPO, any thoughts on this whole confrontation with Nimoy being a creeper, in this scene, and Goldblum and whatnot, and kind of everything where this goes?
Now we get the sad thing, because I meant to say before too when we're talking, I like Goldblum's kind of first major introduction too, where he's kind of annoying Donald Sutherland when he's on the phone.
Yeah,
know what
yeah.
I mean? Gotta get a nice glimpse of kind of his kind of elusiveness and goofiness, and so yeah, now he's getting to play a little way more straight here, obviously, as one of the pod people here too. So there's a little bit of a kick, because you know what's gonna happen, and then later on too, when you figure out when you run into the wife and they have to lie to her too about it here. So no, just another good clear of like, this is what their motives are. This is, you know, like I said, this is where we kind of like learn that like this is what they're kind of doing, and like they are truly like, they don't have love, but they also don't have fear, and like, yeah, you know, so this is interesting moment.
They tried to make it seem a little more alluring in the faculty, you know, where it's like, oh, you can still be in love and we'll just, you know, all be in peace. Or this one's more like, there's no emotions, there's no conflict, there's no nothing. You're just all going to go like fall in line, and it's just, you know, we're just all going to be the same. We're just going to live like this. Oh, great. Sounds good. But yeah, Cole tries to be like, oh, you know, your memories stay intact. You're exactly the same. We know that's bullshit. Complete utter bullshit. Yeah, Richie, any thoughts on kind of all this turn? This is a pretty kind of like an end of Act 2 sort of thing, kind of beginning of Act 3. Yeah, as they're kind of really on the run here now.
Yeah, I kind of felt like this turn was like the whole like, yeah, we're kind of not screwed, but like, yeah, I don't know how they're
how this is going to end up, or what the hell they're going to do about this.
How this like, there was never like a point in the movie where you like, there's always that fear of dread, but not like there's a glimmer of hope. It was always just dread. It always just felt like dread, you know, dread after dread, and then it got worse and worse. So, and this was just the point where I'm like, oh yeah, okay, I think they might be screwed here.
Yeah, they might be screwed here. There's still a little hope. They're still trying to figure out something to do. Yeah, the first thing they have to do is figure out how to stay awake. Yeah, and just figure out how to just keep surviving, essentially. But yeah, I mean, they kind of get back out there. They're really trying to struggle to kind of figure out what's going on. We get that great little, again, another image that's hard to get out of your head once you see it. We've had kind of these little bits with the homeless guy and his dog, and then they accidentally step on the pot a little bit, and when it's like in mid-process, so instead we get this hybrid of the dog with the human face on it. Yeah, with the little banjo music behind it. Get another, you know, like image that's hard to get.
I've forgotten, because I've seen this image. I forgot what it was from. I was like, oh, that's what that weird shit's from.
Yeah, I was saying it's probably a clip that pops up on like a TikTok or something every now and then. I'm just like,
yeah. Well, and then like directly after that, the old woman that screams, and Donald Sutherland just goes,
yeah, just punches her right in the face. Yeah,
I laughed for quite a while.
No. It's like when Nick Cage is just going around punching women in the Wicker Man remake, you know, while he's in the costume. It's just so like out of place and weird. Yeah, but they kind of get out of the crowd. They're kind of found out again, but you know, they run into Veronica Cartwright again, who gives them a little tidbit of information that like, well, if you just don't show any emotion, like you keep a straight face, you can, you know, fool them a little bit. But that's obviously hard to do when you're seeing kind of crazy imagery. But yeah, they're running around and they come across this warehouse, this kind of greenhouse where it looks like they're producing the pods and whatnot, and so they maybe get an idea. Maybe we can at least stop kind of the distribution of it here, and then maybe deal with it later. Unfortunately, before he does that, Brooke Adams is like really kind of hitting her. The amphetamines aren't working. She starts to kind of fall asleep. He's going to go check out the boat. We get that great little sequence. Again, the use of the Amazing Grace on the bagpipes that we've seen in a couple of movies. You know, Tommy Boy. It was even Star Trek 2. It's been a couple of things. Again, a really nice sequence, you know, with that music. Always beautiful and nice music. But yeah, it's on the ships now. So we know it's like, it's going off to other countries pretty much at this point. And yeah, there's not a whole, we're starting to lose hope that we're going to be able to stop this damn thing. And yeah, Brooke Adams finally falls asleep. He can't wake her up. And then it's really creepy when she pops up. And again, hey, a PG movie in 1978. What can you get away with? Boobs. Get away with nudity. And,
I remember you told me, I think we said that laughingly briefly, but even when I was watching, I was like, boobs! I was expecting that.
Yeah, in a PG movie, because it's before PG-13.
And a couple times, too, because at first I'm like, all right, they got away with her in, like, the field kind of briefly. You know, a little, you can definitely see it, but a little, all right. But if she pops up later, a couple minutes later, it's like more boobs.
When she's walking through the greenhouse, she's still just full on, just there.
More boobs.
Yeah, I mean, you could get away with it in the 70s a little bit, you know, a little more.
I'd like to know what happened there, you know. I mean, like, you know, like, I don't like when women have their body parts exposed. I don't know, just fucking, I don't know, just It's nothing. I don't know. Like,
what do you
obviously-
mean? Well, what happened there? What do you mean?
I don't know. Like, you know what I mean? Like there's just like I just like why did it become so like I don't know conservative? As maybe not in like a PG. Maybe Vinny wouldn't put it. He wouldn't put it just randomly in a PG film. But like, yeah, it's just like you barely see that. And like, we've talked about like how like that trope of like when a couple have had sex and then like she covers up.
She's got the sheet. Like, just when we got so like
they're just like I don't know,
showing anything. I don't know.
There are times, even if like if it's just like a PG-13 movie, I'm like, it'd be it just makes sense to like and if this was real that you would show.
Well, not everyone also wants to show them anyway, so
Yeah, I mean the actress has to be cool with it. I'm sure it was.
I know, but I mean, I get it, but like, yeah, it's just like I don't know. I just yeah, if they're cool with it, that's cool. But like, but like, I don't know. I just think that there is like that kind of that hysteria around like. There's always been that hysteria around like women being naked as opposed to dudes. So yeah.
Well, no, I mean, there's a stereotype. I always thought it was weird. Like even my parents were like, hold on, Scream. All right, just violence. Sure, go watch it, have fun. Hold on, Friday 13th, violence and nudity. You can't see this. Like, that's always been the thing,
Yeah, that stigma. Well, and the Europeans are like the other way, where it's like nudity okay, exactly. Violence not okay. Yeah, we'd rather them see nudity than violence.
This fell right into the right gap because there's no PG-13 right at this point.
There's no PG-13 at this point, so
it's either like it's not extreme enough to say R, like stay away. So yeah, it kind of falls into that. Okay, well,
yeah, because there's a little bit of blood and go like. But even most of the blood is when he's like destroying the actual pod things or whatever, so they're not real. Yeah,
the only real violence I feel in this, like violent violence. Although fair point though too, even without PG-13, I feel like if that movie got made today,
it's R.
Today, it's R simply just for the titties, even for that amount of time. So that is true. That is kind of weird that like this got okayed back then for PG. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, just it was what it was. Maybe 70s, we just didn't care as much. It's just okay. But yeah, I mean, Sutherland decides to kind of still go through with his plan. He hops up there and starts, chopping, electrical lines and light bulbs and whatnot, and sets the place on fire. Kind of alerts everybody, and he's got everybody chasing after him. But again, good practical stuff with like this big set of all the pods and everything. Everything gets set on fire. It's really, really good stuff and shot really well. Apparently Sutherland, I saw in the trivia, kind of did all of his own stunt work there, where he's climbing up and down the, everything and sliding down, into the other levels and stuff. Like he's running all over the place. So kudos to him for kind of doing everything himself. That's cool. But yeah, I mean, he gets kind of chased out of there, and then we get almost like an awkward cut where you don't really know what happened, where he's under like this dock thing, and that you think maybe somebody's like shining a light on him. We kind of have a hard cut. We cut to Sutherland, and you see him just kind of walking around. And again, it's a nice little setup of like, is he a pod person? Is he just trying to blend in? Like, what is it? You don't really know. He's just got this real blank look on his face, and you're not really sure, and you're kind of doing this thing. And then we eventually kind of get to the big iconic shot of the movie where again, beautiful shot of him kind of walking towards that, City Hall or whatever it is, with a kind of upwards shot. And then we see Veronica Cartwright come back, and, because she's still a person, she's still human, Matthew, and then of course the iconic turn and look. And the point, the point and the screen. Yeah, really, really good stuff. Fun fact about that. So, everything up until that final sequence where he's walking, the studios has seen, and nobody knew the ending other than the director and the producer and Sutherland. Nobody knew the ending when they shot it that day. And I feel like Veronica Cartwright gets kind of she's had a bum rap on some of this stuff because there's a similar story in Alien about what she did and didn't know. She did not know what Sutherland's reaction was going to be. They shot an original thing where they shot an original kind of, not so much a happy ending, but like a more hopeful ending where she nods at him and then he looks at her and nods back and then keeps walking. So it's like, okay, he's still human, right? They went to do this and she did not know what his reaction was going to be. And he did the point and the scream thing, and her freak out was real. Her actual freak out was real. Much like when she got the blood sprayed on her in Alien, she knew the popping like chest burster scene was going to happen, but she didn't know all the blood was going to get shot in her face. So how much blood was going to be. So her reaction in that movie when she's screaming all over the place is real as well. So Cartwright, in horror movies, They kind of messed with her a little bit, but yeah, they did that. But that whole sequence, even the studio executives did not know that that's the one that they went with. Literally, it was like 2 weeks before the movie was set to open, so it couldn't be edited again. They showed it to him, and then that was kind of the twist ending, so to speak. Is that no, everything we're screwed. They don't win. the aliens win. It's over.
Well, that it worked. I'm glad they went with that because it works better. Like just because it's like, well, if if they went with a happy ending, that wouldn't really make sense with the situation they're in. How would they?
Yeah.
How would they? Yeah. It wouldn't correlate. Like how would they have a happy ending?
Well, it ties into the original 56 thing, and what the reason why they went with the ending when it was 78 is the original 56 ending. And again, a little bit of spoilers for the original one. There's kind of a sequence where Kevin McCarthy's in the middle of traffic, just trying to yell at everybody. They're coming, kind of doing the same thing he does here. They're coming, they're here. They're coming for your family. And then there's another scene you can tell is completely tacked on and shot, with the studio kind of people telling them to, where you have these cops telling them that they got everything under control and they fixed it. It's kind of a cop-out ending, like it's weird. And then this one, it was just like, no, like that doesn't make any sense. Like if it was this widespread, they'd be screwed already. It's done. It just there wouldn't be any hope.
Yeah, I think people. I think studios also are like sort of sometimes beholden to like focus groups and stuff. Because I remember like this is like obviously nowhere near like similar to in genre to these movies we're talking about, but like that movie Australia, right? Initially in the cut, like Hugh Jackman dies, but like they had like all these like old ladies go, I don't want Hugh Jackman to die. That's a good love story. So he just survives. I'm like, well, this doesn't. What? Not all stories need to have happy endings. I know something things happen and they're sad.
Well, again, that's why I like 70s, because they just didn't care. It's the 70s. Screw you. Who cares? So screw happy ending. But yeah, JPO, your thoughts on kind of this whole the ending, the wrap up, the reveal, the scream. And did you know it was going to end like that, or did you have a suspicion that it might end, on a more kind of dour note and whatnot?
Might have been another reason I might have hesitated these last few months, because I know I've also seen.
Everybody's seen that, right?
Intros.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I was always I think I kind of knew like, oh, okay. And then once I saw him walking, I'm like, oh, that's where we're going. Is that the last shot? And indeed it is. It definitely works though. For it as well, and a nice just little bumper because you're hopeful. You actually I even forgot about the one chick. I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. She kind of slunk away. A little bit ago. She's still good. Is our boy good? But no, I haven't seen who our boy wasn't.
Yeah. No. Yeah, that's a pretty iconic shot. I have a T-shirt of that, but it's kind of it's shrunk on me, so I didn't want to wear it because it's very, very, very tight. But I have a shot, just a picture of him doing that. A pretty iconic shot, even though it kind of stinks that that's like literally the final shot of the movie, and you see it everywhere. But yeah, it's still creepy. You do the scream, she's freaking out, and then we just cut to the credits, and it's just silent credits. There's no music. It's just kind of leaves you there, just like, yep, that's it. So have fun. Have a nice day. But yeah, and that's Body Snatchers, and again, a more realistic ending, at least in my opinion, as far as what happens. But that's Body Snatchers, and we'll go around.
Just to go over real quick, isn't the Nicole Kidman one kind of like the first one? Doesn't it kind of just like, I think we're gonna be okay? Like
that one wraps up there. You just see like newspaper clippings where they're like, we figured it out and we stopped it or something. Yeah, and it's kind of abrupt out of nowhere. Yeah, where that again feels like a studio note, focus group note. Like we can't have a sour ending like the 70s one. We gotta have a happier ending. And it's like, no, but that doesn't make sense. Like why? So I don't know. Yeah, a little weird. But yeah, we'll go around and get you guys kind of final thoughts on the movie, wrap up opinions, just kind of your overall what you think of it. So Richie, we'll start with you and go to JPO.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I it's definitely something I now that I've like it took a long time for repeat viewings. It won't be that long, long between drinks, so to speak. So I would definitely I'll definitely check it out with probably in the next it might even become a yearly watch. I don't know, but like it's really good. I do like the kind of sometimes we need movies where it's just like a constant threat of dread where everything gets worse and worse, and because there's certain situations where that's just that makes sense and that's just necessary, like the movie Contagion. It would be a lot less effective if they're like, oh, we all right, we found a vaccine, we're fine. No, so no, they're like so yeah, but I really dug this movie. I love the makeup. I think Donald Sutherland is great in this film. Brooke Adams is really good. I'm kind of interested in what she did after this. I dug pretty much everything about this film. There's no flaws at all, really. So yeah, no, really good watch.
Yeah, no, and JPO was a first time for you. Yeah, kind of your overall thoughts, and will you be maybe revisiting this again in the future? Will it become kind of a one you check out again later on?
Yeah, I'm not the biggest rewatcher, but no, I definitely don't see no reason why I wouldn't watch this again. Maybe not every year, but definitely every couple of years or a few years or so.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to see how it holds up too upon a rewatch. Well, obviously now the twists and turns in a way here, so definitely interested to see it again at some point down the line. And no, this was a really good first time watch here. I'm glad. I kind of figured I might like it just based on like I said, especially afterwards. I was like, oh damn, maybe I did sleep on this because I saw we have a lot of friends in common that dig this here. I know you've been singing its praises for a minute here, and yeah, like I said at the start, I thought this was shot well. Thought it was very meticulously paced in a good way too. Like I don't want to necessarily call it a slow burn because I think they set it up really nicely here. You know what I mean? Like they don't really rush things, and it continues to kind of grow and whatnot. And you have the right people at the forefront too. I really liked Sutherland a lot here again. One of the reasons I also wanted to go on my way to watch this was for him this week, and he definitely delivers here as well. And interesting concept here. I would love to maybe see this as like maybe a mini series or like a one season TV show that maybe they could do instead of trying to rush it into another movie again. But it's a good watch.
Yeah, no, it'd be cool if they did a Body Snatchers thing where like maybe every week is not even necessarily following the same people. You could have like parallel storylines going on at the same time. Like maybe follow this person and maybe in this position of government or this first responder or this person working at a school or something and see like the development of the the paranoia kind of as it in different versions, running all parallel in the same universe to each other. Like that'd be kind of cool.
Although in this day and age, I can totally see it going like the Walking Dead route, where they have like fucking 8-9 seasons, and then they do a whole bunch of spin-offs. And like, oh, but we're done. I'm sure we're done. No, actually, no, we're doing a spin-off of this character. It's like, but no, I would like to see that. I think that.
Well, I don't think you could do it very far because again, the concept that you can't go to sleep can only last a couple of days. Like nobody can last more than a couple of days, just even with drugs and whatnot before you just pass out. So it would have to just be like different characters, maybe in sort of an anthology thing, following different kind of perspectives and whatnot. No, but I mean, I absolutely adore this movie. I've sung its praises a lot, like JPO said, on different shows that it's my favorite horror movie. Like I love paranoia horror. I just think it's a really creepy concept, even more so than a monster or a ghost or whatnot. Just not being able to trust anybody around you. Yeah, that sense of dread that they do perfectly in this movie. Like you said, JPO, it's not so much like slow pace; it's just deliberate, in its execution. But there's enough in that first act that like hooks you with like the intrigue of like what's actually going on with the different characters. Like why are they acting weird? Like what's the actual truth of what's happening? We see the alien thing, how it develops. Like you're intrigued enough. You get those little nuggets of like seeing the clones that are developing and whatnot. To keep you hooked, to want to finish the story and what happens, and all the paranoia really builds and builds and builds. And you don't really know necessarily where it's going, and it kind of goes maybe to where you thought it wouldn't go with a sort of more dour ending, and whatnot of like, it's like, oh, we're just kind of screwed as people, we lose. But it works. All the performances are excellent. Sutherland's got a really nice everyman kind of charisma. He's not a superhero in this movie. He's just like a really intelligent guy, and makes good decisions for the most part and tries to make logical decisions to rip a line from Nimoy, logical. It just really works. Goldblum plays his character really well. Brooke Adams is great. Veronica Cartwright's great. She has a great freak out moments, throughout the movie. So, it's really, really well done. So kudos to everybody involved. I think it's a hell of a classic and deserves to be, thrown up there with The Thing and The Fly and whatnot, and those great kind of horror remakes and just a great horror movie in general. So if you haven't seen it out there, I know we've kind of gone through the whole thing and spoiled it. So, if you watched all this and haven't seen the movie, sorry we kind of ruined the ending for you, but it is what it is. We got to talk about it.
If you want to rewatch it, though, I got it right on Prime, so it's easy to find. At least
it's on Prime, yeah. So go check it out. There's plenty available on physical media. I
believe the 50s one's on Prime as well. I feel like I saw both on there.
Yeah, it's everywhere. Yeah, and there's great physical Blu-ray releases. He's doing a 4K of Body Snatchers just came out recently, so yeah, very much available on physical as well.
Funny story about that too. I went to, you know how I said it was on Stan, and I went to watch it. I went to watch it this morning, and it wasn't there because that's happened before. That happened that all the time. So I rented it on YouTube.
Oh, okay. It's still worth a rental. Yeah, even if you have to, very much, very, very worth it. But yeah, good stuff overall. I love this movie to pieces. So yeah, we'll plug and see what we got going on, and we'll wrap this thing up. So our guest JPO, thanks for joining us. I'm glad you enjoyed the movie. That's always good to see. It'd be really bad if you got here and you're like, I thought it was kind of boring. It didn't really work for me.
Okay, it's like, oh, you seen this shit, man?
Yeah. How is it one of your favorite movies? That makes no sense. But yeah, let us know what you got going on and where we can find you, man.
Yep. Won't wait till the lag catches up.
A bit of a lag.
See, I told you it was my shtick.
Oh, as far as where we can find you? I was waiting for you.
Am I back? Okay, no, I was making sure I was still here.
Yeah, you're back.
No, I told Richie freezing is my shtick.
Oh, okay.
My shtick earlier. When I'm not frozen, or I guess I am frozen still.
Yes.
Of course, find me say on this channel from time to time, popping up. I should be on tomorrow, so I don't know. We'll talk about that if I've actually made the list or not. But we're not right for this. Not too long after this, we'll be talking lots of wrestling talk here. But another big week in wrestling. Lonely Marks catches on that every week, every Thursday. And then other channels, we got the Piersco. Do lots of movie trivia over there, shenanigans, top tens and whatnot. Speaking of top tens, I'm gonna need my boys here. We got to talk some good and bad movies of this year so far.
Oh yeah, we can do
that.
that.
Halfway mark. So
we can do that.
I've got enough bad movies. I could definitely do a worse list for you, JPO, if you want.
I'd probably do that. I'd probably check. I might need your advice on to watch a couple like I did at the end of the year last year. But I know of a couple that every received poorly that I could watch.
Yeah, we could definitely get that going. We'll let JPO unfreeze a second while he's unfreezing. Richie, what you got going on?
Well, yeah, like JPO mentioned, Lonely Marks here in a little bit.
Well, not here, over on the Lonely Marks Wrestling Podcast.
I mean, here with you guys. But
yes, no, it'll be the three of us just hopping over to another channel. So
over another channel, Lonely Marks channel. So a little bit, talking. All the goings on wrestling, Forbidden Door prediction, Bash of the Beef 27. Retro review, and other than that, I'll be on Tournament Fights tomorrow. Doing a versus.
JPO, you are on that show, by the way. So with me and Richie.
Oh, yeah. I wasn't sure if I was in the chat. Is there a chat?
Yeah, there is a chat. I'll bump it up to the top here, and maybe a little bit, just bump it back up so you can kind of see it in the feed there. But
okay.
Yeah, it's been a couple of days. Been a couple of days since anybody posted anything, so I might hit a quick bump over there and bump that up for you. But yeah, no, that is anything else. Oh, sorry, Richie, didn't want to catch up.
No, so my favorite actors versus your favorite actors. Who's actually is Jordan going to be back? Who's hosting that?
No, I'm hosting that one as well. So it is me running the ship. Malcolm made the bracket for us, so I did not have anything to do with the bracket itself. But Malcolm is there running the bracket for us. As we did the other night, we had like a 2-hour and 15-minute Will Smith Eddie Murphy tournament fight, so we did pretty good time wise. So we'll see if we can breeze through this one again as well and have a nice quick breezy show. So we will do that tomorrow. So that's what's going on here on the Movie Hero Network. Myself and Richie, our favorite actors battle. I'll be on Mega Movie Z this Saturday night doing our monthly mistake drinking game for Jaws the Revenge. So you can check that out. That'll be a lot of fun. And other than that, you can just kind of find me here on the Movie Hero Network and over on the Lonely Marks Wrestling Podcast channel. So wherever you may see this, we appreciate it. Rest in peace, Donald Sutherland. We will miss you, sir. You're a hell of an actor. Yeah, everybody go watch some more Donald Sutherland movies if you're out and about. Watch some stuff in honor of that guy. Great friend. And also just a quick rest in peace to Bill Cobb, great character actor who just passed away today as well. Another great guy who pops up in a lot of movies, very recognizable. So we never want to lose anybody, but when we unfortunately do, we like to honor him at least in some way. So rest in peace to our boy boy Sutherland. And then we'll be back in about 2 weeks for Wheel of Movies. We'll get back on schedule for Godfather Part 3, and we'll have Malcolm on for that show. So a lot to talk about there. Again, maybe mixed opinions on the actual movie, but there's certainly a lot to talk about there. So we'll be back with that. And for JPO, for Richie, I am Austin Pez Howell. Thanks for joining us here on the Wheel of Movies on the Movie Hero Network, and we'll see you next time.